Good morning, coming to you down here. We're at the recording at the Intercoastal Waterway down here, all right? Locally, we call it the Indian River, okay? So, bodies of water have different names. Lake Gennesaret, as Luke referred to it. We also know it as the Sea of Galilee. Today, it is called Sea of Kinneret, all right? Which means harp. Okay, so the Sea of Galilee there is a heart-shaped body of water. What I found interesting about that is that here Jesus is speaking at a harp-shaped body of water, okay? And string instruments like harps, guitars, violins, and such are the closest representation of the human voice, okay? Most closely mimics us, because our voices are created by wind going over, you know, vocal cords, all right? So it's the same, it's chord music when we talk, just like when musicians play their instruments, okay? So I felt that was interesting, all right? Just kind of how the sequences or details or coincidences fall into things there, okay? So I felt that was interesting. So the crowds around him, they're wanting to come, they're wanting to hear what he has to say, they're wanting to get close to him, you know? I mean, you know, he's done some casting out of demons. He's healed a lot of people there. You know, we talked about the all-night healing revival session that he had. So people are wanting to press in on him, right? So, you know, it's just kind of like a mob going after the last TV on Black Friday. You know, it's just kind of unruly. So he walks over to a boat. He chooses a vessel. He stands in that vessel and he asks Simon, "Hey, Simon, cast me out from land a little bit here, all right?" So he gets out from land a little bit. The crowd settles down, so instead of a frantic mob, they all sit down, and now they're ready to hear the Word of God. They're ready to hear what Jesus has to say, okay? So he's talking to everybody, but he chose Peter's to give him a hand, to help him in his mission there, okay? And, you know, we can be chosen as well, you know? If I can fight the wind here. Excuse me. Let's move over here. Breezy down here this morning, I tell you. Let's get my scriptures turned around here. 2 Timothy 2:21. All right. If a man therefore purge himself from these, and it gives a litany of things in the verse before or after there, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctification, and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. Alrighty. 1 Thessalonians 4:4, it says that every one of us should know how to possess our vessels in sanctification and honor. Okay? So if you're out, you know, following the devil and living your life as worldly, all right, you kind of block yourself from being used of God, okay? You know, the Spirit really can't flow through you so much, you know, because you're living a life of disobedience, you know, so you're more in need of hearing the gospel truth rather than being a vessel to carry the gospel truth to somebody, okay? So you know, Paul talks to us, you know, in the epistles there about how to keep ourselves, you know. You know, he's preaching to everybody. He chose Peter, all right? So it's talking about the fishermen with the vessels. Well, behind me back here is the next park down, and that's where all the local fishermen put in, you know, weekend warriors, whatever, put in their boats here and there, one of the spots that they put in. So I just kind of wanted to get in the theme with the fishing people. Got my fish hat on here as well. All right. So Peter humbly, he says, okay, now when he got done speaking, he says, well, let's go out and catch some fish. Cast out. And he says, Lord, we worked all night. We ain't catch nothing, you know. It's a bad time of day. The sun's up now. This fish ain't there. And he says, but, you know, you want me to do it? I'll do it. You know, because, you know, his mother-in-law got healed, you know, like in the last chapter there, you know, from that life-threatening fever. So, you know, he'd had some contact with Jesus. You know, he'd been there at Capernaum, around the lake there, speaking for at least a couple weeks or so. So he says, I'll do it. So he goes out there and he does it. And then, you know, notes are all over the place here, so we're going to scrap the notes and just go with it. So at every point he gets in the boat, he takes him out. Then he says, well, let's go out to the deep. So then again he follows the Lord in obedience and he goes out to the deep. He says, cast down the net. He casts down the net. He pulls it up. The net starts to break. You know, he's astonished. Everybody around him is astonished, okay, of what's going on because of the great catch. He calls to his buddies to come on out, his partners to come on out and help. So he pulls that up. Well, at any time during that process, he could have said, no, I ain't gonna do it, or the devil could have tripped him up and derailed him. Okay, so when you're on a course, you know, faithfulness and persistence is paramount, you know, because there again, if he wouldn't have went through all the steps and agreed to do everything, they wouldn't have had that bountiful harvest. All right, they wouldn't have been pulling in all those fish. Okay, so, you know, it's just a good representation for us to, you know, follow through with things when the Lord asks us to do things, and to stay on track, try and stay on track as best we can when we're going through. All right. Let me look down here again, see if I can see. He launched out to the deep, the reasoning to shore, the out to thrust. Go to the backside here. All right, so they were all, could you imagine the crowd of the people looking at that out there? You know, I mean, everybody, when somebody catches one little fish on a line, you know, everybody's going, what's he got? What's he got? What's he got? All right, so again, and then the humility of it falls in where, you know, Peter falls down and says, you know, I'm a sinful man, you know, depart from me. I'm not worthy to be around you. And Jesus said, you know, come on up, and, you know, henceforth I'll make you, you know, you'll catch men, you know, with the gospel. You'll be catching souls for God there, okay? So that's pretty much what we got. My speaking here may be a little discombobulated because the wind's blowing a little too much for me to read my notes or read the rest of the scriptures I had written down. But we're just kind of going with it, you know, no matter what. So, like I say, hey, everybody enjoy the day. You know, continue to seek the Lord, follow Him, you know. May the Lord reign in your life till we talk again. All right, folks, we'll catch you later with another reading on Thursday. Bye now.